Eric's feeling the groove beats today. Just feeling groovy over there, huh?
Just trying to keep it smooth,
man. Well, you got the voice for it. You got the music for it. Ryan Leopold joins us, and Ryan, welcome back.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Yep. So, we talked about people who are underwater on their mortgages, on their house. It's pretty common these days. But now, today or last week, this HARP Home Affordable Refinance Program 2.0 has now come out. Mm-hmm. And so talk a little bit about, now that it's started, what are you seeing and what have been some of the big changes?
Yeah, good question. Well, we came on about a month ago and talked about some of the changes that were coming out. And, we knew some of the changes that were happening. We're a little unsure on other ones. So over the last couple of weeks, things have started to happen. Clients are getting in there and they're taking advantage of the program. And I think there's a lot more clarity that's come out. But also with that clarity, I think there's a lot of misconceptions that are coming out as well. They're kind of exposing themselves to the marketplace. And really that's my intention today is let's expose some of these misconceptions to give people a very clear idea of what's going on and what they can and can't accomplish.
Okay, so let's do it. What can people accomplish?
Okay, so here's what we do know, okay? Obviously, like we talked about before, your loan has to be owned by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. The easy way to check that is just go to the websites, okay? You have to be on time on your mortgage.
Hold on, the website, fanniemae.com, freddiemac.com. There's lookup tools.
Yeah, or you can go to our website, harpsmart.com, and look at the Fannie Mae lookup tool or the Freddie lookup tool on the website.
Okay.
Pretty easy to find. But a lot of people already are past that point. They kind of know if they're Fannie or Freddie. Number two, you just can't have any lates in the last 6 months and up to one late over the last 30 days or 12 months. Okay, pretty straightforward. But when it gets into it and starts talking about options, I think the misconceptions are, well, do I have to go back to my original bank or the original servicer to do the loan? Because they're bombarding people with phone calls and mailers and emails telling people it's time to refinance. So I think it's important to understand that the consumers have options to take advantage of this program. Number one, they can go back to the original servicer. There's some positives and negatives with that, which I think we should get into. They can use a typical mortgage broker out there. Or they can use a normal mortgage banker or correspondent lender to help them out. And I think there's some positives and negatives with each side.
Okay, so let's talk about going back to your bank. Positives and negatives.
Okay.
Because everybody knows who their bank is. Yeah. They write their check. They make the payment. They've been doing it for years or months or however long they've owned their house. Probably a couple of years if they're looking at this program. They know who that is. It would seem easy.
Yeah, it would seem easy in theory. I think the reality is when you go back to your original servicer, I'm talking about the big banks, Bank of America, Wells, Chase, GMAC, is they go back to the original servicer. The positives are they can make it super streamlined and super easy in theory, meaning they already have your old application. A lot of times they do not need an appraisal, and a lot of times all they have to do is verify that you have a job. Okay, so the process is simple. But the challenges are most banks were 90 to 180 days in underwriting before the HARP changes come into effect. And now it's just pushing those underwriting timelines out 4 to 5 to 6 months. And where they're quoting them like, hey, we're going to get it done, but it could take us 4 or 5 months. And, be patient. Okay. And really the only benefit, and what we're also seeing on the negative side is they're quoting rates 1/4 to 3/4 higher than the market right now, because they know how easy it is and they know about this misconception that people think it's just easy for me to go back to my current bank.
So easy may be more expensive and it may take longer.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we're seeing that every day. And people are getting frustrated. They're not getting phone calls in a timely fashion. People are asking for stuff multiple different times. They're just frustrated. They just want answers and they want a direction and they want a fair and competitive rate.
Well, how many, I don't know the number, but how many loans does Bank of America have? And then they try to refinance them all internally. Yeah. It doesn't work. You just can't, they can't go through them all.
They can't go through them all, and they're dealing with short sales. They're dealing with traditional refis. They're dealing with HARP loans, and the purchase market's picking up. So all of this, I think a lot of the banks and a lot of lenders in general, which we're going to talk about at 4 o'clock, are just kind of need to restaff a little bit right now and be a little bit more realistic on turn times. But the banks are getting hit the hardest for sure.
Right. And the banks being hit hard in, as far as these refinances go, because it does seem easy, but sometimes it's easier or maybe not easier, but time wise, it's more effective and maybe more cost effective to go work with somebody new.
Yeah. And what I found over the last couple of weeks and over the last couple of months is people just want answers. Just tell me if I qualify, and if I do qualify, what kind of rates can I get? What are my options? And how long is it going to take to close? And during this 30 to 45 day process of what it should take to close these, what do you need from me? And, if I call or email with concerns or questions, that you'll get back to me in a timely fashion. I think people are begging for that right now because it is such a benefit. They just don't want to miss the boat. A lot of these people we're talking to are at 6.25%, 6.5%, and they can get down to the mid to low 4s, and they're so excited to save $500 to $600 a month, and then they don't get a call back for a week, 2 weeks. If they're lucky, they get a call back in some cases, and they just don't know. So they're just looking for somebody they can trust and get the answers they're looking for and get it done.
And that's, that's a frustrating part, I think, for clients. They don't get the call back. And I think it's important to let people know, though, it's not even it's not like a bad loan officer. They're just overwhelmed. I mean, so there is that point of, not to throw people under the bus, but the system is kind of broken at a lot of these banks. And if you wonder what 90 to 120 or 200 days in underwriting means, it means your file is sitting in a stack. And every day it moves up one spot and another spot and another spot. And so it's not, there is that element of, look, there's a lack of control because of they're so inundated.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So you think about it, these stacks and stacks of loans they have going on, and then new ones coming in every single day, and they finally pull up Ben's file and like, well, this pay stub's outdated. We need a new pay stub. So then they email everybody and they say, we need a new pay stub, and now the whole cycle starts over again. So the loan officer reaches out to the client, gets the pay stub, puts it in the file, now goes to the back of the bottom of the stack. So it's a continual process all the time. And so, again, back to the point is banks, I think there's sometimes you have to use the bank. We found that people who are self-employed or can't, their income's gone down in any way, because if you use a broker or a mortgage banker or somebody other than your original servicer, you are going to need pay stubs, you are going to need W-2s, you are going to need tax returns. And you qualify like a normal mortgage. When you go to your original servicer, the one benefit they have is if there's anything unique about your situation, including credit issues, foreclosures, bankruptcy, short sales, anything other than the property, the subject property in general, a lot of the servicers can help them where maybe brokers and mortgage bankers can't help them.
So when somebody goes through and they go through a banker, what should they expect? If they're not going to the bank, but they're going to a broker, they're going to a mortgage banker, what should they expect that's different than maybe going to their bank?
Yeah, so they're looking out right now and looking for options, and I think, like I talked about a second ago, they just want answers and clarity. This is such a great opportunity for people. Imagine what people can do with an extra $500 a month by lowering their rate at minimal cost. So they see it's a huge opportunity. So when they talk to somebody, and we're talking to a lot of people, and they all kind of say the same thing, we just want answers. We want to know if we can qualify. We want to know what our options are, and we want to get it done. We don't want to keep waiting, because a lot of these people have waited 2.5 years to get this done when the original HARP program came out. So they just want to get it done. They just want to move on, save some money, and get the better rate.
Yeah, and certainly people, it's worth saving the money, because when you sit there and you're out there and you're thinking, well, geez, how do I save $400 or $500 a month? People consider, well, I can cut my cable, or I can get rid of my internet. There's all these different things that people try to budget, right? But there might be something sitting in there every month, getting in their mail, that they're wasting money on that doesn't even affect their lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It's just money sitting there waiting to be given to them.
It's incredible. We're seeing people saving $400 to $600 to $700 a month, or in some cases, we're helping people to a 15 or 20-year fix, and their payments are still going down. So it's pretty substantial. People are just begging for clarity on this thing. And, that's why we're here to help and answer anybody's questions we can and let them know they do have alternatives to the big banks, even though in some cases the banks may be the play. And on that same note, I've actually gone out and created relationships with bankers retail loan officers at every single major big bank. So if I meet with a client and become the quarterback of that situation, and I realize I just can't help you, in your case you do have to go back to the original servicer, then I refer them back to a retail loan officer that we know and we trust that can lead them in the right direction. I think that's really helped out a lot too.
Well, Ryan, if people want to reach, I have a phone number, 425-307-3500. And that's really how people can, just to find out if it's possible. And it's just the East Side number 425 and then 307 $3,500, and they can learn so much information just by talking to you and understanding, okay, is it possible? Yeah. Because there literally could be $500 a month that they could save right now. Like really right now, they could be saving it and they're not.
Let's get it closed. Stop messing around. Let's get it closed.
And if the worst part that we see also is people were like, well, I think rates are going to get to 3 and they're at 6 and they won't go to 4. You know, it's amazing the mentality of, well, I'd rather save more when they're already overpaying $400, $500, $600 a month.
Well, to be honest with you, Ben, I think in normal refinancing times, that's the way people look at it. They're like, well, this person's quoting 4 1/8, and this person's 4 1/4, and this person's charging for appraisal, and this one's not. I think this is kind of unique, where literally every person I talk to just says 4 1/4, 4 1/2, whatever. Close it, because they know it's such a huge benefit to them, and they know what they're getting quoted from their banks at 5 to 5.375 in some cases, when the market's 4 1/2 to 4.
Right.
So,
well, and every month they continue to work on it is another month people are not saving the $500. So, you know, if you are underwater, if you're not feeling that your house is appreciated the way you want to, you've been wasting money and haven't been able to refinance with the earlier programs, certainly you can reach out 425-307-3500 and talk to Ryan and really understand what's going on there. When we come back, everybody's going to join us. We're going to talk a little bit about setting the right expectations for clients and how professionals should be able to set the right expectations for you. That was Ryan Leopold. We'll be right back.